Hi, I'm Lindsay, and this is Kinda Healthy Podcast. For the final Halloween episode, I wanted to tell you about a famous haunted house I grew up near. And caution, this story does contain suicide. A servant heard a muffled pop from her master's bedroom. She summoned his sons, who broke down the locked door and found William J. Lemp Sr. dead with a gunshot to his right temple. The .38 caliber revolver was nearby. It was the first of 4 fatal gunshots in the sad tale of St. Louis's first beer dynasty. It all started out so promising, though. When John Adam Lemp arrived in St. Louis from Germany in 1838, he seemed no different from the thousands of other immigrants who poured into the gateway to the West during the first half of the 19th century. Lemp originally sought his fortune as a grocer. His store was unique for its ability to supply one item sold by none of his other competitors: lager beer. Lemp had learned the art of brewing the beverage with his father back in Germany. The natural cave system under St. Louis provided the perfect temperature for aging beer. Lemp soon realized that the future of lager beer in America was as golden as the brew itself, and in 1840 he abandoned the grocery business to build the modest brewery at 112 South 2nd Street. A St. Louis industry was born. Lemp's Western Brewing Company continued to prosper, and by the 1850s was one of the largest in the city. In 1858, the beer captured first place at the annual St. Louis Fair. The brewery enjoyed marvelous success, and John Adam Lemp died a millionaire. William J. Lemp succeeded his father as head of the brewery, and he soon built it into an industrial giant. In 1864, a new plant was built at Cherokee Street and Carondelet Avenue. The size of the brewery grew with the demand for its product, and it soon covered 5 city blocks. In 1870, Lemp was by far the largest brewery in St. Louis, and the Lemp family symbolized the city's wealth and power. Lemp beer controlled the lion's share of the St. Louis market, a position it held until Prohibition. In 1892, the brewery was incorporated as the William J. Lemp Brewing Company. In 1897, 2 of the brewing industry titans toasted each other when William Lemp's daughter, Hilda, married Gustav Pabst of the famous Milwaukee brewing family. The demise of the Lemp Empire is one of the great mercantile mysteries of St. Louis. The first major cracks in the Lemp dynasty occurred when Frederick Lemp, William's favorite son, brewery superintendent and their heir apparent to the brewing presidency, died under mysterious circumstances in 1901 of a supposed heart ailment. 3 years later, William J. Lemp shot himself in the head in a bedroom at the family mansion, apparently still grieving the loss of his beloved son Frederick. William J. Lemp Jr. succeeded his father as president. William Lemp Jr. married Lillian Handlin, a railroad supply heiress, known in St. Louis society as the Lavender Lady. In imitation of the Karnia of Russia, Mrs. Lemp dressed exclusively in lavender and used it for everything, even the harnesses on her horses. Their divorce in 1909 was a local sensation. William Jr. turned the mansion into the company headquarters when he took over. On March 20th, 1920, another daughter of Lemp Sr., Elsa Lemp Wright, who was considered the wealthiest heiress in St. Louis, fatally shot herself in her home at 13 Hortense Place. At the scene, William Jr. said, "This is the Lemp family for you." The Lemp Brewery closed in 1920 with the enforcement of Prohibition. In June 1922, William Jr. announced he would sell the property. "I'm tired of seeing all the weeds in the courtyards," he said. The magnificent Lemp Brewery, which had once been valued at $7 million and covered 10 city blocks, was sold at auction to International Shoe Company for $588,500. Although most of the company's assets were liquidated, the Lemps continued to have an almost morbid attachment for the family mansion. After presiding over the sale of the brewery, William J. Lemp Jr. dismissed his secretary from the office. He aimed a revolver at his heart and fired. He shot himself in the same building where his father had died 18 years earlier. He was 55. His son William Lemp III was 42 when he died of a heart attack in 1943. William Jr.'s brother Charles, continued to reside in the house after his brother's suicide. An extremely bitter man, Charles led a reclusive existence until he too died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Knowing several other Lemp suicides remained suspect, Charles left a note with the only words, "In case I am found dead, blame it on no one but me." The body was discovered by his brother Edwin. Following his brother's death, Edwin Lemp sold the mansion and it became used as a boarding home. In 1970, Edwin Lemp died of natural causes at the age of 90. Some say he was only able to live to such an old age because he got rid of the house. As far as haunting activity, it's the usual suspects. Things moving, hearing creepy voices, ladies in white, and a lonely, deformed boy that was hidden away in the attic. I don't know how much of that is true, but I did stay there one time a long time ago, and the tragic history is enough to make you feel like there's something there. You do kind of have the feeling of somebody around in the narrow, dark hallways. In the room that I stayed in, there was a barber's chair in the one parlor attached to the bedroom, and it did seem to swivel and move on its own. But that was the closest I came to anything like an experience. They do run a haunted attraction that's unfortunately closed for the 2020 season, but it gives you an opportunity to go in the tunnels that connect the brewery to the mansion. The Lemp Mansion is now run as a restaurant and inn, so you could have dinner there or possibly stay the night. But if you can't make it there in person, you really should check out their website, lempmansion.com, where you can find on the homepage videos and you can do a virtual tour inside and see every detail inside the mansion. And make sure to check out my Instagram at Kinda Healthy Podcast, where I'll be posting pictures of the mansion. The information for this episode was found on the Lemp Mansion website and a St. Louis Post-Dispatch article by Tim O'Neill. I'll provide links in the description to those sources. Have a great Halloween, and I'll see you next week. If you or someone you know exhibits warning signs of suicide, call the U.S. National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org.